Greetings from Snake Mountain Boatworks on Saturday, July 16. This is an update on the 1946 Chris Craft U22, the bright-sided mahogany one. As you can see, we made quite a little bit of progress since our last report. We've removed the chines, we've removed the first plank all the way around, and made several discoveries in the process. I'm not sure whether this is bitter or sweet or a little of both, but we now understand why we have a hog here, why this keel comes back and then swoops up almost like a ski slope. Our answer lies right here. You see those spaces? Chris Craft never built this boat with these spaces. The entire bottom of the boat, the bottom bow, which itself is really in pretty good shape, has separated from the framing on the transom framing. How could that happen? Well, I don't know. I'll have to speak with the owners, but in my experience, especially big heavy boats like this one is when she's got her engine in her, when hung from their lifting rings for long periods of time, do tend to suffer this separation. The entire weight of the boat is being hung. You see the lifting ring that we all tie the boat down with, lift the boat with, etc., is screwed onto a shaft which in turn is threaded into that fitting right there, and there's a Y-shaped flat steel, here we can see it from the outside, structure that bolts there and here. It bolts to the vertical framing of the transom and to the bilge stringer on each side. Well, the problem is, at least with this boat, I don't know. I don't know if it's been hung for long periods of time, but I'm guessing that it was. And these attach at the very end of the bilge stringers. And if the boat is hung for a very long time, we run the risk of it basically separating under its own weight. You would think these bilge stringers would support the boat, but somehow this has all separated. The fix, one approach is to simply remove all of the transom planking and rebuild the framing, but I don't think that's necessary. I'm hoping that these are original bolts. They're copper, or brass. They're probably mostly copper now. We're hoping that we can squeeze this all back together by putting upward pressure on the bilge stringer and downward pressure on the bow and closing this. But school is out on that one so far. But what we have to do, and it's pretty clear now why this thing swooped up, we've got to get this bow where it should be. And you can see by all the material that has collected in here, this is a problem that didn't just happen yesterday. This is a problem of long standing. There's a good, well, right here, I can stick my finger into it without any problem. That's a good ½ inch. This is just a loose block, so this doesn't count so much. This is where the exhaust pipe goes through the transom. But here is right here is the main support for the transom. So we face that. In our last update, we talked about the possibility, not the probability, the possibility that we might not deal with these butt joints, that they would be strong. Well, in fact, they're not strong. I can move this. Wherein lies the problem? Well, there is the butt joint, of course, but the person who affected this, let's call it graciously repair, replaced, in the case of the frames, here we have stainless steel, stainless steel, stainless. My guess is when we pull these out, we haven't done so yet, we're going to discover that all of these are pretty well rotted, because this is the chine, this is below the water line, this is in the water all the time. The rest, really there's nothing negative other than what we have seen before. We still have this frame to replace, this frame to replace. Here's the front end of that butt joint. And again, this person put 8 bolts right in this little distance of about 8 inches, and to my mind really destroyed the integrity of the chine framing at that point. So we may very well come way up forward to here with our scarf joint, so that we, first of all, we have a much larger distance between the 2 frames, so our sister can be longer. You don't get much strength out of 8 inches. I don't care how many bolts you put through it. Now, at some point, you reach diminishing returns and then negative returns as you keep firing more and more bolts through. Everything up here looks good. We discovered that we'll probably deal with this with a scarf, because unlike some of the others, this particular frame is continuous all the way down the side of the boat. And we really don't want to tear all the topside planking off. These others are all 2-piece right here, and they can be saved. So this will repair with a scarf and repair everything beyond. This is on both sides. We will take, starting at the second from the transom rib forward, we will replace all the framing that we do with the much beefier framing that we find in the transom. And that'll take us at least all the way to here. This one is really solid on both sides. There's no sense tearing it out. This is really not solid, period, end of story. So we will tear this apart and fix it. The planking that came off is in great shape. No problem reinstalling it, which is very nice because it's so difficult to match mahogany, especially in an early boat like this. So this is where we are on Saturday, July 16. On Monday, I will continue acting as a designated degreaser, and now we will begin disassembling these chine frames and frames. So that's where we are. Thank you so much from Snake Mountain Boat Works.